How you doing, folks? It's James JT at the movies, back here again in the movie space, and this time we are here to talk about my comedy DVDs. Now, this one is pretty much cut and dry. There's no sort of broad or niche categories within it. It's just comedy. Let's dive straight in. I hope you enjoy it. Start at the very beginning. It's a very good place to start. We've got In Bruges. That's My Boy. Just My Luck. I didn't mind that one. McFly in that. I think that's one of the reasons I picked that up, to be fair. I'm quite a McFly fan. Zack and Miri. Not my favourite comedy film, but a laugh all the same. Superbad. Just daft, isn't it? And I think a lot of teenage boys can relate to a lot of the things that go on in that film. Animal House, a classic. East is East, a great British classic comedy film there. 21 and 22 Jump Street. One of my favourite indie comedies, Big Nothing, starring Simon Pegg and David Schwimmer. Worth checking out if you have not seen it. We then come into my sort of little Jim Carrey section. And this is really just his comedy films, because he's done obviously a few dramas and a few other bits and bobs, and I've not kept them here. But we've got Liar Liar, Bruce Almighty, Dumb and Dumber. So that one hasn't really... Actually, why is that one there? That hasn't got Jim Carrey in. I guess I've just kept it with the series. But Dumb and Dumber prequel, Dumb and Dumber 2, both of which were dire. And then the only one worth watching, which is Dumb and Dumber. Yes Man. It's just a poor man's Liar Liar, that, isn't it? It's watchable, but it's alright. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls, and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. We rewatched that last night. It's a very funny film. Possibly the handling of the villain hasn't really aged and held up that well, but still a very funny film. We've then got The Mask. And then in the middle there, one of the absolute sort of crown jewels of my collection, that is my replica of The Mask. Got that off eBay a good few years ago. It was actually before we had sort of access readily to the internet, and a mate of mine at school ordered that for me. Absolutely cracking. Love it. It's been, like I say, one of the centerpieces of my collection for years and years and years, is that. So we've got Son of the Mask, absolutely dire, but I'm a Mask fan and I'm a completist, and it just sort of feels right to have them bookend the prop. Loser, Hot Tub Time Machine, Adventureland, Bubba Hotep, Wedding Crashers. Watched that again quite recently, actually, just for something to stick on. Quite enjoyed it. It holds up. Tropic Thunder, The Naked Gun trilogy from the Files of Police Squad. Starsky and Hutch remake with Ben Stiller. And then we've got the Starsky and Hutch TV movie. So that, for anyone who is not a UK viewer, I mean, international newspapers might do this as well. But back in the day, newspapers used to give free DVDs with the Sunday paper. You can see there, this is the news of the world. They don't even make that paper anymore. That's how old this is. But it come with the thing, and then obviously I wanted to put it in a proper case, so printed that off. And I figure for something that's just going to be a once in a blue moon watch, I'll just put that there rather than wrestle with it one-handed, eh? Then I'll do that. Anchorman and Anchorman 2. So Anchorman 2 is the only film that's not in my Harrison Ford collection. Other than that, I've got his entire filmography from 1975 onwards downstairs. Wayne's World, and then Wayne's World 2. The 51st State, I love that one. Grand Budapest Hotel, Turner and Hooch, and Risky Business. We then come down here, and there's just a straight-to-DVD jobby called Vegas Baby. It's got the guy who played Turk from Scrubs in it, and that was what made me pick it up. Not a bad one. Gold Diggers, that's from the crew of National Lampoons, and it's shocking. 500 Days of Summer, Hot Rod, one of Andy Samberg's early vehicles, pretty good. Old School, Club Dread, love that one. Disaster Movie, poor film. Rat Race, what a great one. Jumping Jack Flash, absolutely love that. Basketball, made by the chaps who do South Park. Speaking of which, Team America, World Police. Superhero movie, that's where Drake Bell does like it's a knockoff of Spider-Man, isn't it? And Leslie Nielsen plays like a cross between Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And I just remember the whole sort of where he's trying to give the great power and great responsibility speech, and he ends up reading from the wrong book and explaining how menstrual cycle works. Probably funnier if you watch it, to be fair. Ted 1 and 2, Burn After Reading, absolutely adore that film, must rewatch it soon. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story, absolutely hilarious sort of Mickey take of the music biopic. You know, it's spoofing primarily Walk the Line, but, you know, it references pretty much every music film you'll have seen in the last sort of 30 years in there. Tenacious D and The Pick of Destiny. Caddyshack 1 and 2. 1's fantastic, 2's nothing to write home about. Same with this next double bill, Horrible Bosses and Horrible Bosses 2. Dude, Where's My Car? I don't know why I've kept that, to be fair. That's kind of a one-time watch. You know, somebody commented on this video, not this particular video, you understand, but this series of videos, a few videos back, and said, have you ever thought about doing a purge to, you know, sort of cleanse the collection and make space? And I think I really need to get round to that. Bridesmaids, if I didn't mention it. Bill and Ted 1 and 2, need to rewatch those because number 3's just come out. I'm really excited. Hall Pass, Blazing Saddles, now that's classic comedy, is that. Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, what a great film that is. The Sitter, again, that's probably one that could happily go in the purge, as is the Quest, although I seem to remember that being quite funny. It's lads going on a lad's holiday, they've got one lad in the group who's still a virgin, and it's the whole let's try and get him laid by the end of the 2-week break sort of thing. Bowfinger, not a bad one. Role Models, quite funny. Spaceballs, the absolute classic. See it there, Tucker and Dale versus Evil. What an absolutely hilarious film that is. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Jay and Silent Bob, Strike Back, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, Mallrats, Clerks 2, Chasing Amy, Dogma, and then Cop Out, which is also another Kevin Smith one. I have got Clerks, but it's on a special edition Blu-ray. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, hilarious. The 41-year-old virgin who knocked up Sarah Marshall and felt super bad about it. Well, that title tells you all you need to know about that film and just how good it is. Tower Heist, How High, Kingpin, Airplane and Airplane 2, the sequel, The Hangover Trilogy, all the Police Academy movies. I got that for £2 in the local British Art Foundation shop. £2 for that. HMV wanted, I think, 15 notes for that box set, and they all play perfectly, so that's great. The Scary Movies, the first 3 pretty good, 4's pretty weak, and the less said about 5 the better. The Cornetto 3 Flavours trilogy, so we've got Shaun of the Dead, absolutely fantastic. World's End, that's the last one, isn't it? That's not great. Do you know what? It's not bad. It's just a step down from the first 2. And then we've got, in my opinion, the best of the trilogy, which is Hot Fuzz. Johnny English. Recently picked up the 3rd one. I've got the 2nd one on Blu-ray. Because I got it on a really good deal when HMV used to do like the 5 for 30. And that was the 5th one that ended up sort of working out to be almost free. The remake of Dukes of Hazzard. I have a soft spot for that. Sex Drive, not a bad film. Get Smart, the remake with, what's he called, Steve Carell. That's it's quite a good one, is that. The American Pie films today, apart from the one that's going straight to Netflix in a couple of weeks, obviously. And Psychopaths on the next shelf. Little Miss Sunshine, RV, How to Lose Friends and Alienate People, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Something About Mary, the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. Do you know Supernatural Activity? What a weird film that is. That's one that went straight to DVD and I picked up. I probably told the story before. Back in the day, me and some lads that I went to school with, we used to get together every Friday night. We'd order a takeaway in and, we'd watch whatever movies sort of caught our fancy. Just when we were sort of, 15, 16, 17. And this one I picked up because obviously it's a spoof of the Paranormal Activity movies, which when I was a young teenager I quite liked. And that one starts off really silly, but then at the end I seem to remember it getting quite sort of deep and it trying to be more than it was. I might have to give it a rewatch at some point. Little Shop of Horrors, the theatrical cut. Blues Brothers 2000, and then the best Blues Brothers, Grown Ups. I liked the first one, didn't rate the second one to be fair. Did they make a third one? I can't remember. Harold and Kumar, Get the Munchies, hidden there in the corner. Borat, Being John Malkovich, Napoleon Dynamite, the South Park movie, Due Date, Boat That Rocked. I think that's called Pirate Radio everywhere else. I've not got a Scooby what this one's called. Let's zoom in. 30 Nights, let's call it that. Idiocracy, that's a great one, is that? I think, is it Luke Wilson? I think it's Luke Wilson, but it's Terry Crews in there. And this guy basically, to get out of doing something, gets cryogenically frozen and wakes up, 5,000 years later or whatever. And the world, the human race, have bred themselves stupid, and by default, this guy is now the most intelligent man in the world. Big Lebowski, Easy A, love Easy A. Great callback to so many sort of 80s coming-of-age films. Speaking of which, Footloose, Snatched, Stranger Than Fiction, The Life Aquatic, Ed Wood, Crazy Rich Asians, Crocodile Dundee, Trading Places, Men Who Stare at Goats, Four Lions, When Harry Met Sally, Bait. It's an American DVD, that you can tell because it's the only one that hasn't got a viewing certificate, a rating on it. Fletch, Amelie, Hitman's Bodyguard, really like that one. That's one of the better buddy sort of comedy films to have come out in recent years. An absolute classic there, See No Evil, Hear No Evil, Rockstar, Brewster's Millions, Clue, The Parole Officer, Weird Science, Celebrity, Combat Academy, Mindhorn, Educating Rita, Deadpool, The Invention of Lying, Spinal Tap, the first and the third Austin Powers movies. I have the second on Blu-ray. Death Becomes Her, Bulletproof, and I Want Candy. So I bought that in a cash converters in Scarborough, and it didn't have a case, but I think it was like 50p, and we just wanted something to laugh at on the caravan holiday that we were on. So again, I ended up keeping the disc and just printing a little spine for it. You've got The Girl Next Door, which is kind of like the American sort of answer to it. I don't think they're at all related, they're just very similar films. Maverick, made by the people that made Lethal Weapon, starring Mel Gibson, and has a cameo by Danny Glover. Spy Hard, the Pink Panther movies, all of them except the one that Alan Arkin did, where for whatever reason, I want to call him Clouseau, no, Peter Sellers, God rest him, chose not to come back for one of the sequels, and so they just seem to have omitted that one from history, really. Van Wilder trilogy, don't mind them. The first one obviously the best with Ryan Reynolds, but the sequels are quite funny. Not Another Teen Movie, Hudson Hawk, great film that. So a little Bachelor Party 1 and 2, Anger Management, We're the Millers, Mean Girls. That's a great sort of recent coming of age film. I'm saying recent, it's almost 20 years old at this point, isn't it? Omar Bayer. And again, the reason it's got a printed spine is because it's another cardboard sleeve jobby. Mickey Blue Eyes, Absolutely Anything. That's a great one, is that? Simon Pegg, and it's got the Monty Python cast in it, doing the voiceovers for some aliens. Speaking of Monty Python, you've got The Meaning of Life, The Holy Grail, and Life of Brian there. A Fish Called Wanda, and the unofficial sequel, Fierce Creatures. Fish Called Wanda is one of my favourite comedies ever. Fierce Creatures, bit of a missed opportunity if you ask me. Stan Helsing, Dark Shadows, the remake, that's so good. Shallow Hal, soft spot for that one. Hot Shots 1 and 2 in a double pack. Bueller. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, great classic 80s comedy. The Whole Nine Yards, Mars Attacks. White Men Can't Jump, Wanderlust. What to Do When You're Expecting. We got free tickets to see that at the cinema, and I actually really enjoyed it, so I ended up picking up the DVD. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, a great musical comedy. Loaded Weapon 1, a spoof on 90s and late 80s action movies. Good Morning Vietnam. I was tempted to try and do it then, but I thought better of it. Big, Josie and the Pussycats. Come down here with Arachnophobia, Days of Confused, The Other Guys, the box set of Get Shorty and Be Cool, the first 4 National Lampoon's Vacation movies. I've yet to pick up the sequel reboot with is it Ed Helm? That's not his name, is it? Anyway, you know the guy. He's in The Hangover, plays the dentist. Galaxy Quest, Big Daddy, Heat, and Big Fat Liar. And then we've got Happy Gilmore. We've got Euro Trip, Road Trip, and Road Trip Beer Pong. Analyse This, Analyse That. The first Mr. Bean movie. Rock of Ages. The Royal Tenenbaums. Pretty Woman. Little Man, a compilation disc of Lee Evans' best stand-up work. I think there's 3 shows in there. Planes, Trains and Automobiles, The Three Amigos, Cool Runnings. Now that one is the right disc, but I had to print a spine for that because it wasn't actually what I ordered. I ordered The House on Haunted Hill, the remake with Geoffrey Rush, and they sent me the right cover art, which is reversed in there. with the wrong disc in it. So when I wrote back to the supplier on Amazon, they said, keep the disc, we'll send you another copy. Sister Act 1 and 2. The Disaster Artist, that's the film telling the story of the making of The Room. Network, The Wedding Singer. Shriek, If You Know What I Did Last Friday the 13th. That, to my mind, is what Scary Movie should have been. Groundhog Day. All of the Carry On films, apart from the last one, which they did in 1992, Carry On Columbus. For whatever reason, it's not included in the box set and is nigh on impossible to find. Probably not the end of the world, because I don't believe it was very good from memory. But all the classics, well, they're all in there apart from that one. But, you know, Carry On Doctor and Carry On Up the Khyber, Carry On Camping, classics. The Commitments, one of the best sort of musical comedies ever. White Chicks. And then, for some reason, I don't quite know why I've put The Divide there, but obviously we then go into Superheroes, which is also up here as well. So we will break off there, and then we will continue on into my sort of superhero-y comic book section next time. So thank you very much for watching again, guys. So that's been my comedy DVD section. Like I say, I think going through that again, it's the first time in a long while I've really paid attention to what's in there. I think there's some purging to be done. And if I do end up getting a new sort of movie space, like I say, details on that to follow. But if I do end up getting a new movie space at some point in the not too distant future, I think this is going to be the first part of the collection that gets a real cleansing and a real purge. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see the next part, which as I mentioned just a moment ago is going to be comic book movies, consider subscribing to the channel, drop this video a like and leave me a comment with your thoughts on any of the films that I've mentioned here. As well, on this channel I like to talk about collecting both DVDs and Blu-rays, reviewing the films themselves, shooting unboxings and haul videos, and really just talking about the love of cinema, the love of film, and the love of collecting physical media. I really am a physical media enthusiast, nothing against streaming at all, happily use it, but I'd much sooner put the disc in the player. I think there's just something... can't describe the feeling, but just something really great about it, and I really enjoy collecting all this stuff. And if you're watching this video, obviously you do too. Like I say, take care of yourselves, folks, and continue to stay safe in this crazy time that we find ourselves living in at the moment, and I will see you again soon. Cheers, bye bye.